I discovered why my family never talks about my childhood. The first time I realized something was wrong was when I found a photo of myself that nobody could explain. I was staring at a picture of a little boy around 6 years old standing beside a woman I had never seen before. When I asked my mom who she was, her face went completely pale and she snatched the photo out of my hand. "We not need to talk about that," she said, then she walked away. That should have been the end of it, but it only made me more curious. Growing up, my family never talked about my childhood. Most people have stories about their first day of school, birthdays, vacations, embarrassing moments. My parents had nothing. Every time I asked, they would change the subject. My older sister would suddenly leave the room. My grandparents would get quiet. It was like the first 10 years of my life had been erased. I was 24 when I finally decided to figure it out. I started digging through old family boxes in my grandparents' basement. Most of the photos started when I was around 10 years old. Almost nothing existed before that. Then I found a sealed envelope hidden inside a dusty file. Ling cabinet, my name was written on the front. Inside were court documents, medical records, and a newspaper clipping. The more I read, the harder my hands shook. Their records showed that when I was 80 years old, I had been reported missing for nearly 3 months. Missing, nobody had ever told me that I confronted my parents that night. My dad immediately stood up and demanded to know where I found the documents. My mom burst into tears and begged me to stop asking questions. Their reactions told me everything I needed to know. They were hiding something huge. Over the next few weeks I kept searching. I contacted the county courthouse and requested more records. What arrived changed my life forever. The woman in the photograph was my biological mother. The people who raised me were actually my aunt and uncle. According to the court records, my biological mother had struggled with addiction and disappeared with me when I was 80 years old. She kept me moving from motel to motel across 3 states until police finally found us. My aunt and uncle fought for custody and legally adopted me afterward. There hasn't nobody talked about my childhood was because they wanted to erase the entire nightmare. But there was one final secret. A letter was attached to the records. It was written by my biological mother shortly before she died. In the letter, she admitted that my aunt and uncle had saved my life. She wrote that she knew she could never give me the stability I deserved and begged them to raise the own. When I showed the letter to my parents, my mom collapsed into tears. My dad finally told me everything. He said that they were terrified I would hat them if I learned the truth. So they buried every memory and hope. The past would stay hidden forever. Instead of being angry, I hugged them. For 24 years they had protected me, loved me, and sacrificed everything for me. Their karma came from the secret itself. The truth they spent years hiding was actually proof of how much they cared. That night, for the first time in my life, my family talked about my childhood, and as we sat together crying around the kitchen table, I finally understood who my parents really were.